Imagine for a moment that there is a version of you living in a parallel reality, a version of you that is observing every choice you make right now. Imagine that this version is not a figment of your imagination, but a tangible existence vibrating at a frequency just slightly different from your own. Now ask yourself, what if this version is trying to communicate with you? Quantum physics reveals that reality is not a single, linear path, but a field of infinite possibilities. Every thought potentially aligns you with one of these realities, and perhaps that subtle pull you feel is not imagination. It is a signal. Your life is shaped by the choices you make. We often believe that life happens to us as if we are passengers on a predetermined course, but in the quantum view, life happens through us. Every decision you make, from the profound life-altering shifts to the mundane selections of your daily routine, opens a new variant of reality. It creates a path that did not exist a moment before, forging a specific trajectory through the infinite field of potential. But here is the profound truth we often forget, the piece of the puzzle that changes everything. When you choose one path, the other possibilities do not simply vanish into nothingness. They continue to exist as valid potentials within the field. This parallel self, the version of you who made the different choice, the one who walked the other path, the one who said yes when you said no, is an intelligence that is alive. It is not a mere fantasy or a ghost of what could have been. It is an expression of the same one consciousness that breathes through you right now, experiencing a different facet of your soul's journey. The central thesis we are exploring today is simple, yet life-altering. You are not alone. Other versions of you exist right now, and they are not separate. They are connected to you by the invisible threads of consciousness. In this journey, we will learn how to recognize the signals they are sending. We will move beyond the veil of linear time and understand that you are in a constant, silent dialogue with your own potential. To understand these signals, we must first understand the structure of the reality we inhabit. We must look at the architecture of the unseen. We begin by dismantling the old belief that consciousness is merely a biological byproduct of the brain, confined within the walls of your skull. As the pioneering work of cell biologist Dr. Bruce Lipton and neuroscientist Dr. Joe Dispenza suggests, the mind is non-local. It is not a generator of consciousness, but a receiver of it. It is broadcast into the field, much like a signal from a radio tower, extending far beyond the physical limitations of the body. This brings us to the concept of the quantum multiverse explained simply. Imagine a great ancient tree. The trunk is your core soul, the unified essence of who you are. Every choice you make, every significant turn in the road, opens a new branch. These branches do not compete for space, they coexist. They occupy different frequencies within the same space, much like different radio stations occupy the same airwaves simultaneously. You are one soul experiencing multiple potentials. This realization is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to offer profound spiritual expansion and existential comfort. It means that the you who is healed, the you who is abundant, the you who is at peace, is not a distant dream or a fantasy you must struggle to build from scratch. That version is a living reality in the field, vibrating at a specific frequency, existing right now, just waiting for you to align with it. How do these timelines differentiate? How does one branch separate from another? It happens through the subtle mechanics of your being. Small decisions lead to large deviations over time, but the true mechanism of shifting realities is found in the marriage of thought and emotion. As we often discuss, a thought is the electrical charge. It sends the signal out into the universe. The emotion is the magnetic charge. It draws the experience back to you. When you combine a clear intention with an elevated emotion, you collapse a specific reality from the quantum soup into your present experience. You effectively tune the dial of your being to the station where that specific version of you is playing. Why would a version of you existing in a parallel timeline attempt to reach out? Why would they bridge the gap between their reality and yours? The answer lies in the physics of connection. We call this the principle of coherence between timelines. In the quantum world, separation is an illusion. Frequencies that are similar naturally attract one another. Timelines begin to approach each other, to touch and intersect, when there is a synchrony of emotion. When you begin to feel the feelings of your higher self, when you touch moments of pure gratitude or deep peace, you naturally draw that timeline closer to your current experience. There is a benevolent, almost protective purpose to this contact. A version of you in another branch of reality may have learned something incredibly valuable. They may have walked a path of pain or difficulty that you are currently walking to. In their timeline, they possess the wisdom of experience. They attempt to communicate with you to prevent you from repeating the same error, to help you navigate around the obstacle they hit. It is the spiritual equivalent of a feedback loop, a message sent from experience back to potential. These are internal calls coming from a higher you, the version of you that is more conscious, more evolved, and more aligned with the source, will always try to guide the version that is walking in the dark. It is an act of profound self-love across dimensions. You may notice these signals most strongly when there is a divergence from when your current life begins to drift away from your soul's maximum potential. The tension between who you are and who you are meant to be creates a signal. That signal is the call to return. This brings us to the heart of our exploration. How do you know? What does this communication look like in your daily life? It rarely comes as a booming voice from the clouds. It comes in the subtle language of the field. Déjà vu with emotional overload. We have all experienced simple déjà vu, but here, we are speaking of something deeper, a déjà vu, accompanied by a sudden, overwhelming wave of emotion. This is not just a misfiring of the brain's memory circuits, it is an interdimensional memory. It is a moment where two timelines cross, and for a split second, you are feeling the emotional reality of another version of yourself who has stood in this exact place. Dreams where you are, another you. Pay close attention to your dreams. Have you had dreams where you are living a life that does not belong to your current reality? You are in a different house, with different people, doing work you do not currently do, yet it possesses an unusual realism. These are not random firings of the subconscious. They are windows. You are witnessing the lived experience of a parallel self. Specific and repetitive synchronicities. The universe loves patterns. You may see specific number sequences, 11, 11, 333, appearing relentlessly. But look deeper. Look for words, symbols, or themes that emerge without apparent reason. Perhaps you hear a specific phrase in a song, then read it in a book, then hear a stranger say it on the street, all within a few hours. This is the field trying to grab your attention. Sudden shifts in intuition. There are moments when a voice within you directs you without any rational explanation. You feel a sudden, inexplicable urge to turn left instead of right, to call a friend you haven't spoken to in years, to leave a place immediately. These instinctive decisions, which later prove to be exactly correct, are often guidance from a version of you that has already seen the outcome of the alternative choice. Nostalgia for a life never lived. This is a profound and poetic sign. It is a deep, aching sensation of, I remember this, or I miss this, regarding a place you have never visited or a person you have never met. It is a saudade for a timeline you are not physically inhabiting. This is a call. It is an invitation to align yourself with the frequency of that alternative path, the sensation of bifurcation. Finally, there is the sensation of the fork in the road. You may be going about your day and suddenly perceive two possible paths simultaneously. You feel the ghost of a decision. You sense physically that this belongs to another version of me. It is a moment where the veil is thin, and you can sense the weight of the road not taken. Understanding these signs is not merely an intellectual exercise or a curiosity for the mind. It has a profound spiritual and practical purpose. You must realize that there is a deep wisdom being shared between versions of the same being. You are not navigating this labyrinth alone. You are part of a vast, interconnected collective of selves, all striving towards the same ultimate goal, the evolution and expansion of your soul. The benevolent purpose of this contact is often to allow you to avoid the repetition of painful cycles. Consider this: other versions of you, in other branches of reality, have already faced the challenges you now see on your horizon. They have endured the heartbreak, the loss, or the failure so that you do not have to. By listening to the intuition they send, by heeding the subtle warnings and the nudges, you can navigate around the obstacles they hit. You can learn the lesson without bearing the scar. Ultimately, The sum of these reality lines strengthens your current consciousness. When you align with the wisdom of your higher potentials, you become more than just one isolated person struggling against the world. You become a convergence of wisdom. You align, and in that alignment, you become powerful. This leads to what we might call the fusion of timelines. This is the moment of the quantum leap. It is the precise moment when you integrate the lessons, the frequencies, and the hard-won wisdom of your parallel selves, and you embody your best version right here, right now. It is not just a change in habit or a shift in circumstance. It is an internal evolutionary leap that changes the very fabric of who you are. We close with this essential truth. Multiple versions of you coexist. They are not separate entities lost in the void. They are strands of the same light, expressions of the same soul. They can, and they do, guide you. This is not a fantasy designed to escape reality. It is a call to master it. It is a call for your own growth. The signs, the dreams, the nudges, the sudden memories will not disappear. If you ignore them, they will only intensify, because the drive of the soul is always towards wholeness. I invite you to pay attention. In the silence of your morning, in the quiet of your heart, listen. You are always in dialogue with your highest self. The question is, are you listening?